I think investors are looking for someplace dependable to always, place their money. And if they are looking to diversify, medical office in commercial real estate does have, I would say, a lot of teeth in it for that. Because the build outs are highly specialized, they tend to be more expensive as well. And so you have an investment from a tenant in these buildings as well as the landlord. It's usually shared to some degree, but a tenant, some of these are healthcare companies, so they're national firms, but some are private companies. And either way, the cost to move for these tenant improvements is really high. For example, an imaging center is $1 million to open up a new center. So they take moving very seriously. They do long-term leases because, as I said, both the landlord and tenant are investing into the tenant improvements, and that just takes a long time to recoup those costs. And so therefore leases are typically between 7, 10, sometimes 15 years. Therefore, there's a long time for dependable cash flow. Also, if it's a hospital, obviously the credit is very high. So, it doesn't matter who changes guard in the hospital, that site is always going to remain there. If it's a multi-specialty private company, they're usually have multiple physicians. So, there's a whole succession plan with them. And then if it is just a private individual physician, they the cost to move from just a dollar and cents, and then also because their patients are used to seeing them, it's just really hard to move. It's expensive to move. So therefore, you'll have just very long-term tenancy, which makes these lower risk than other asset classes. If you understand the tenants, you have to understand the tenants, and you obviously have to do your due diligence on their financials for sure, and interview them as to what their plans are for the site. But if you have somebody leading that charge that has experience in the industry, it can be a very good investment for investors. In a portfolio, medical office, you can have a single tenant sort of urgent care, then you can have a surgery center, and then a single tenant or multi-tenant medical office. I think that's how you diversify. And then in different markets, that is where you get diversification, unless you just say I want to do all surgery centers, or something like that. But if you could do a long-term care facility, or sort of blend the different property types within a portfolio to give yourself diversification. You'll have different, what I would also recommend is that they all don't have leases expiring at the same time, that you have staggering lease expirations. One for just if you want to get out of it, or you have to think of the cost that you're going to have to invest in order to re-tenant someplace if needed.